This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to the Wire Broker Edition, the week in real estate, presented in digestible bites. Hold on while our AI hosts take us on another ride through this week's top real estate headlines.
Welcome back to The Wire, everybody. You know what we're doing today, right? Our favorite thing.
Deep dive time.
You got it. This time, we're diving deep into everything affecting you as broker owners. We've got a whole stack of recent reports.
Yeah.
And we've pulled out the key takeaways, the stuff that you really need to know.
Absolutely. Think of it this way. We've done all that reading, so you don't have to.
Exactly.
And it's not just about the headlines, right? It's about connecting those dots between the mergers, the tech, the policy changes. Like, what does it all actually mean for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to give you a sense of just how wide we're casting our net today, we've got info on BHGRE Steinborn and Associates and their merger. Keller Williams expanding.
Yeah.
ERA Real Estate is making some moves. We'll look at agent movement thanks to Courted.
Yeah.
United Real Estate has a really unique approach that we'll dive into.
Interesting.
Forbes Global Properties and Concierge Auctions are teaming up. And of course, we can't ignore the whole NA Clear cooperation policy thing and these new delayed marketing exempt listings.
It's a hot topic.
Always. And NWMLS has taken a really firm stance on private listings. So
yeah, lots to unpack.
lot to unpack.
For sure.
So let's just jump right in. Theme number one, brokerage expansion.
Okay.
And the strategic partnerships that are happening right now. I mean, one thing is clear. Growth is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
No, absolutely not.
We're seeing these traditional mergers.
Right.
And new office openings, of course, but also these really interesting partnerships, which kind of suggest a more like nuanced approach to grabbing market share.
Yeah.
And leveraging specialized expertise.
Makes sense. So where do you want to start?
Let's kick it off with BHGRE Steinborn and Associates. They merged with TRU South Real Estate.
Okay.
And this really increases their presence in southern New Mexico. They now have a total of 4 locations.
Wow.
They added offices in Ruidoso and Alamogordo. So what stood out to you about this particular merger?
Well, besides just the geographic expansion, right? They really stress this idea of shared values.
Yeah.
Which I think is super telling. Like, they really emphasized aligning with professionals that have the same mindset so they can deliver greater value to not only their clients, but also their brokers. So to me, that says they're not just about getting bigger. They're thinking about the quality of that growth and the overall culture.
Totally. That focus on culture feels like it's more important than ever these days.
Absolutely.
Now, switching gears to Keller Williams. They're expanding like crazy.
Right.
Both in the U.S. and internationally. Launching their first office in the Cayman Islands.
Wow.
And affiliating with True North Realty Group in Arkansas. And they've got some pretty ambitious growth targets. What do you make of this two-pronged expansion from KW?
Well, Keller Williams has always been really strong on infrastructure and innovation and having that agent-centric culture, right? And I think when True North Realty Group said that those were like the key factors in their decision, it just proves that KW's value proposition really works for independent brokerages that are trying to grow.
Right.
And then the Cayman Islands move. I mean, that's a bold statement. It shows they're seriously committed to global expansion and tapping into these like diverse markets.
And speaking of strategic moves, down in Florida, ERA Real Solutions Realty merged with Naples Realty Services.
Okay, interesting.
It seems like a really smart regional play, creating that contiguous service area.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing here is that ERA is really stepping into the luxury market now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Naples Realty Services, their average sales price is high.
Oh, wow.
So what do you think the reason is behind this kind of regional consolidation?
Well, the article mentions something interesting. There's a growing number of second home buyers and retirees from Ohio that are buying in Southwest Florida.
Really?
Yeah. And when you think about it, ERA Real Solutions Realty, they're based in Ohio. So by merging, they can basically follow their clients, keep that business within their network.
That's smart.
And of course, Naples is a hot luxury market. So it's a win-win.
It's a no-brainer. And we can't forget Engel & Volkers. They've got a brand new office in Burlingame, south of San Francisco.
Oh, right in the heart of Silicon Valley.
Exactly. I mean, that is a very deliberate move to get a piece of that high-end tech market.
Totally. And with Paul Benson as the license partner, he already owns a bunch of other Engel and Volker's offices.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Exactly. So that seems like a pretty safe bet.
It does. Now let's shift gears a little and talk about agent movement.
Okay.
TTR Sotheby's International Realty. They snagged a huge luxury team, HRLS partners, from Compass in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area.
Oh, wow.
And, the team said it was all about aligning with Sotheby's luxury brand and their focus on community.
Interesting.
Which I think really proves that it's not always just about size or tech, right?
Right.
Brand and culture, those are powerful draws for top producers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these high-performing teams, they have options.
They do.
And the fact that they chose to go from this big national brokerage to something more regional, more focused on luxury, it says a lot about what they value, like a strong brand identity, supportive community.
Yeah.
That can be way more compelling than just money.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to those strategic partnerships we were talking about.
Okay, sounds good.
We saw Forbes Global Properties joining forces with Concierge Auctions. And this is to offer an auction model for those really high net worth clients.
Interesting.
And they're thinking globally. Concierge Auctions, they basically own the $5 million plus residential auction space.
Really?
So this could be a game changer for those higher end listings.
I can see that. So how do you think traditional brokerages benefit from this kind of partnership?
I think it gives them an extra tool,
Okay.
a specialized one. Because sometimes a traditional listing just doesn't cut it. Maybe it doesn't get the results or it takes too long. So an auction can create that urgency and sometimes get a higher price.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the fact that Concierge Auctions is going to train the Forbes Global Properties members, that means their agents can actually use this new sales method effectively.
Yeah, so they're not just throwing them in the deep end.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
giving them the knowledge and the tools.
Smart.
Speaking of tools, Stellar MLS is partnering with Raise.
Okay.
And they're offering brokers these tools that are all about making the agent and the client experience better.
Mm-hmm.
And a big focus is on transparency, showing everything the agent's doing. They even mentioned that most people don't realize how much time agents really put in.
That's so true.
It is. So how do you think this partnership addresses that?
I think they're trying to tackle this challenge we have in real estate. We don't always do a great job of showing our value.
Mm-hmm.
So by offering tools for things like super detailed buyer presentations,
Yeah.
client portals where they can see all the work that's happening behind the scenes, they're basically making that invisible work visible.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our second key theme.
Okay.
And that's financial performance
Mm-hmm.
and how business models are changing. Now, before we get into this, I have to say the financials from at properties before they were acquired,
Yeah.
they're pretty wild. They were making money.
I see.
They had a really healthy net income in 2023 and for the first 9 months of 2024. And during that same time,
Yeah.
Compass was reporting some big net losses.
Oh, wow. That's a huge difference.
It is. So the question is, how was it properties doing so well?
Right. Like, what was their secret sauce?
Well, I think it comes down to their operational philosophy. They were able to stay profitable even with really high agent commission splits,
How high are we talking?
around 84%.
Whoa, that is generous.
And a huge chunk of their revenue came directly from their own brokerage commissions. So that tells me they're super focused on efficiency, maybe lower overhead, or they've just got this killer model for bringing in commission income, especially when you compare them to Compass, who's been investing heavily in tech and expansion.
Yeah. And it's definitely impacting their bottom line.
And here's another interesting thing. They actually paid down a lot of their long-term debt before the acquisition.
Really? Okay.
And the cash part of the deal basically matched their shareholder equity. What does that tell you?
To me, that says they were in a strong position. They didn't have to be acquired.
Exactly.
Compass must have seen some serious strategic value at properties,
Mm-hmm.
maybe their market share in those key areas,
Right.
or their, successful and profitable business model.
Totally. Now, the Jason Mitchell Group, they had a totally different story.
Okay. How so?
Record earnings in 2024, huge transaction volume and revenue growth.
Wow.
And get this, they sent out over 70,000 referrals to their agents.
70,000. That's insane.
It is. It seems like their whole model is built around generating leads and doing tons of transactions.
Yeah. Volume over everything.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you have United Real Estate.
Okay.
They're all about the flat fee model.
Right.
They're saying their affiliates kept way more of their commissions compared to traditional brokerages. They launched some cool new initiatives.
Like what?
things like discounted vendor partnerships. They've got this educational program,
Oh, interesting.
and their agent count is actually going up
In this market.
in this market,
Yeah.
which tells me that these alternative commission structures, they're really appealing to agents,
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal.
especially when you couple it with those added benefits.
Makes sense.
And then we have to talk about the amount of agent movement that's happening. It's
Ah,
crazy. Corded is reporting that hundreds of billions in sales volume and billions in commissions,
Billions.
billions, changed hands between brokerages last year. I mean, the huge flow of business.
It's mind-boggling.
Right.
It really shows you just how much is changing in the agent landscape and how much money is at stake when it comes to recruiting and retaining agents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Broker owners need to realize that their agents are always looking at their options
Oh, yeah.
and things like compensation, support, the whole brokerage environment.
Yeah.
That's what keeps those top producers from walking out the door and taking their business with them.
Right. And let's not forget about the new agents.
Yeah.
They have a really high dropout rate. So
Yeah.
having good onboarding and mentoring, that's critical.
Okay, theme number 3,
Hit me.
the ever-evolving MLS landscape. And of course, all the debate about listing policies.
Oh.
So NAR has introduced this new policy. It's called multiple listing options for sellers.
Okay.
And it allows for something called delayed marketing exempt listings. Now, what do you think about this? Is it NAR trying to find a compromise on the whole clear cooperation issue?
You know, it kind of feels that way. Like they're trying to thread this really fine needle,
Yeah.
trying to give sellers a little more flexibility while still sticking to the principles of clear cooperation, like broad exposure and cooperation. So allowing for a delay in public marketing, but still making sure the listing is visible to other MLS participants.
Yeah.
It seems like a middle ground, but I guess the real test will be how each MLS actually puts it into practice.
Absolutely. But, you know, the debate's not over, not even close. Compass CEO Robert Refkin, he's been really critical of NWMLS and Windermere and their position against private listings,
Oh, right.
saying it takes away choices from sellers,
Yeah.
even suggesting that homeowners in Washington might be negatively impacted.
That's a pretty strong statement.
It is. He and Compass, they're definitely pushing for more options for sellers to go off market or do private sales. It's all about seller autonomy for them. And they're not holding back. They even launched a whole website about it.
Wow, they're serious.
They are. And on the other side, NWMLS CEO Justin Haig, he's pushing back hard.
Yeah, he's not backing down.
He's defending that cooperative model, saying that private networks only really benefit big brokerages, not the consumer.
Right.
And he's saying that it could actually hurt the whole marketplace.
So it's a real clash of philosophies.
It is.
Yeah.
For Haig, it's all about those core principles of open access and transparency that the MLS is built on. He sees this push for private listings as exclusionary and bad for fair competition.
Yeah, especially for smaller brokerages.
Yeah.
And the consumers who rely on that MLS data.
Exactly. And Windermere, they're also backing clear cooperation.
Okay.
And they're worried that this push for private listings is all about the big brokerages wanting to double-end deals.
Oh, interesting.
They think it's a way for the big players to control inventory.
So they see it as a competitive move.
Yeah, more than anything else.
Wow, there's a lot to think about here.
There is. So with all of this in mind,
Yeah.
what was the most surprising thing that stood out to you from all these reports?
Honestly, it was how well at Properties was doing financially compared to Compass.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they were making so much money, even with those crazy high commission splits, it kind of flips the script on this idea that high agent commissions can't work.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder how efficient different brokerage models really are. You've got this traditional regional player who's killing it,
Right.
and this huge tech-focused national brand that's struggling.
It's a really good point. Okay, so big picture.
Yeah.
What's the key takeaway for our listeners, the broker owners who are trying to figure all of this out?
I think the biggest thing is that the brokerage world is changing fast. Business models are changing. Competition for agents is fierce. And the way we share and market listings, that's being debated left and right.
So what do broker owners need to do?
They need to be flexible, informed, and ready to adapt. You got to pay attention to those commission structures and the value propositions that are attracting and keeping top agents, and think about those strategic partnerships, the ones that can give you a leg up in certain markets or offer those specialized services. But honestly, the most important thing is to stay involved in those conversations about MLS policies.
Okay.
You have to understand how this new delayed marketing option
Right.
and the whole private listings debate, how that's going to impact your agents, your sellers, and the overall market.
Because it could change everything.
Absolutely. So be proactive, be willing to change, and I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, this is not the time to sit back and wait. You've got to be thinking about these trends, how they're playing out in your market,
Exactly.
and what it means for your brokerage.
And that actually brings up a question for our listeners. Think about it. With all of these changes happening, what are you doing? What adjustments are you making to your business strategy to stay competitive?
That's something to really think about.
Absolutely.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the latest and greatest in the real estate brokerage world.
We hope it gave you some food for thought.
We did.
So now it's your turn. Think about those mergers, the competition, and those big debates we talked about, and really consider what they mean for you. What opportunities are out there?
Yeah.
What challenges are coming your way?
And don't forget, this is just the beginning of the conversation.
That's right.
We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. Share your thoughts, your questions, everything.
And a big thank you for joining us for this deep dive on The Wire.
You got it.
We'll keep our eyes peeled for all the latest real estate news
We will.
to make sure you have the info you need to stay ahead.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep building that success.
If you're interested in your own personalized edition of The Wire, please visit us at thewire.fm/custom. We offer market-specific podcasts with all the latest real estate news and market analysis delivered to you weekly or monthly. Own your market with a personalized edition of The Wire, The Week in Real Estate. Thank you for listening.